You know the feeling. We've all been there. You're at the airport, you're all packed, you are ready to go, and then you see that one word you never want to see, delayed. But what is actually going on behind the scenes? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on why your flight is really delayed and what it takes to get you up in the air.
Right? That vague excuse, operational reasons, it just doesn't cut it when you're just sitting there watching the clock tick. So we're going to dig into the real story. And we're going to use one of the world's biggest airlines, Indigo, as our case study to understand this industry-wide headache. Okay, let's start with just one number, 78.4%. What do you think that is? Well, that was Indigo's on-time performance for November 2025. Just think about that for a second. More than 1 in every 5 of their flights was late. That is a huge amount of frustration for passengers. But, as you're about to see, there is way more to this story.
Because here's the twist. Even with that number, Indigo was actually the 3rd best performing major airline in the country. Now that tells you something really important. It means this isn't just an Indigo problem. This is an industry-wide crisis. And it shows you just how massive the challenge of being on time really is. So let's break down what's actually causing all this.
To really get it, we need to peel this whole thing back layer by layer. And the first, most obvious layer, it involves the most important piece of the puzzle. The airplane itself.
It sounds incredibly simple, doesn't it? But this right here is the starting point for so much disruption. See, before a plane can even be scheduled for your flight, it has to be completely airworthy. And right now, a whole lot of them just aren't. In the aviation world, this situation has its own special, very serious name, AOG, which stands for Aircraft on Ground. This isn't just a minor issue. It's an official status that means a plane is completely out of commission because of a technical problem. And the second a plane goes AOG, a clock starts ticking for the entire airline network.
So just how big of a deal is this for an airline like Indigo? Well, let this number sink in. More than 75 of their aircraft are currently grounded. We're not talking about a few planes with minor issues. This is a massive chunk of their fleet, literally just sitting on the tarmac, unable to fly.
So, why is this happening? Well, it's a perfect storm, really. You've got your regular, everyday, unplanned technical problems, sure. But the much bigger issue is global. Supply chain snarls mean getting a hold of spare parts can be a total nightmare. And on top of that, there are these well-known, ongoing problems with some of the Pratt & Whitney engines that power a huge number of their planes. So problem number 1 is simple, a shortage of available aircraft.
But not having enough planes, that's only part of the story. Let's peel back the second layer and see how this all spirals, the domino effect. You have to understand, the whole airline system is this incredibly complex, interconnected web. A small problem in one corner can trigger absolute chaos everywhere else. This quote just nails it. You could be sitting in sunny Mumbai looking at a clear blue sky, wondering why your flight to Chennai is delayed. The real reason? Thick fog in Delhi that morning, which meant your plane couldn't even leave Delhi to get to you in the first place.
And this has been a huge issue recently. Northern India has been dealing with some crazy, unprecedented fog, which can grind operations at a major hub like Delhi to a complete standstill for hours. Now you add in the usual air traffic control congestion, just think of it like a giant traffic jam in the sky, and you get these cascading effects that ripple out across the entire country.
This little diagram shows perfectly how it all connects. Let's just follow the chain of events. Okay, so fog in Delhi delays Flight A. That means the actual physical airplane that was supposed to be Flight A can't get to Mumbai to then become Flight B. So now all the passengers in Mumbai are delayed. But here's where it gets even more complicated. That delay could mean the crew that was scheduled for Flight B is now about to run out of their legally allowed work hours. Which brings us to our final and maybe most critical layer.
So, we've talked about the planes, and we've talked about the system, but none of it works without people. This is the human equation, and in aviation, it is governed by some absolutely ironclad rules. And here is the bottom line. You can have a perfectly working airplane sitting right there at the gate under a beautiful clear sky, but if you don't have a legally certified, well-rested crew ready to fly it, well, it's just a very expensive metal tube. It is not going anywhere.
This whole thing is controlled by something called FDTL, or Flight Duty Time Limitations. These are super strict safety regulations set by aviation authorities that put a hard limit on the number of hours pilots and cabin crew can work. This is totally non-negotiable, and it's all about preventing fatigue and keeping us all safe when we fly.
And this is exactly where an airline's ability to be flexible just hits a brick wall. See, an airline can reschedule a flight or reroute a plane, but it absolutely cannot, legally, make a crew work longer than their duty time allows. So when that initial fog delay in Delhi happens, if the chain reaction pushes the crew past their legal limit, that flight either gets canceled or has to wait until a brand new, fresh crew can be brought in.
So, when you put all of these pieces together, you start to see that getting a flight off the ground isn't just one simple thing. It's this incredibly fine balance between machines, massive complex systems, and human limitations, all of which have to work in perfect harmony. And when just one of those pieces falls out of place,
You get a perfect storm. You've got the mechanical problem with over 75 planes just sitting there. You have the systemic problem with huge fog disruptions clogging up the network. And then you have the human element with those strict crew duty rules acting as a final, unmovable barrier. Any one of these things can cause a delay. All three hitting at once, that's what creates chaos.
So, faced with all this chaos, what can an airline even do? Well, Indigo's solution might actually surprise you. They are proactively canceling 30 to 40 flights every single day. Now, I know, that sounds totally counterintuitive, but the goal is to break that chain reaction we talked about. By intentionally taking a few dominoes out of the line, they create some breathing room in the system. This gives them spare planes and backup crews to handle any new problems that pop up, and ultimately, it helps make the flights that do take off more reliable.
so the next time you find yourself at the gate and you see that delayed sign flash on the screen, maybe you won't just see an inconvenience. Maybe, just maybe, you'll see a glimpse of the incredible, fragile dance happening between machines, weather, and people. A dance that has to go perfectly right thousands of times a day just to get us all where we need to go.